I'm about to explain cold email in such a way that even a toddler would understand how cold email is used to create multi-million-dollar businesses. And it's true, it's not a fairy tale. I myself used cold email to generate thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of people, or if not millions of people, use cold email to grow their businesses. And if you manage to grasp the concept of cold email in such a low level of a fifth grader, of a 5-year-old, if you understand it at this level, you'll be able to dominate it. Because cold email is like driving a car. If you have a car but you don't know how to use it, you don't know how the clutch works, you don't know how the gears work, you will not get anywhere. You will try to put into the first gear, you will stall, you'll have to put the ignition off and on again. You won't get anywhere with that car, right? If you don't know how to use it. And the person who knows every single thing about the car can use it to its biggest potential, right? If I know how the clutch works, what happens when I let it go quickly, when I dump the clutch, when I floor the gas, how to change the gears, when to change the gears, the RPM. If I know all of these things, I'll be able to use the car to its full potential. And the same goes with cold email. If you know every little thing about cold email, you'll be able to get the best deliverability, you'll be able to solve any issues, and you'll be able to land as many clients as you want, predictably and programmatically, right? So let me explain cold email so even a fifth grader would understand, right? Cold email is like a castle. Let me draw one real quick, right? You have the towers, I don't know, there's a princess, right? Whatever. You have the towers, you have the gate, windows, big gate. This is the castle of cold email. Right? And what you're trying to do is reach your recipient. Your recipient is the king. You're trying to get your message to the king in the castle of email. Now, before you can get to the king, you have to go past the guards. These guards are called Gmail and Outlook, right? If you can't get past them, you won't be able to deliver your message to the king, who just lives in the castle, because he's the most important person, right? Your recipient is the most important person, and he's guarded, of course, and you need to get past Gmail, Outlook, or any other service provider. So when you come on your horse, you try to deliver your message, right? This is a horse. To your king, you first need to get past these people. Of course, maybe you have a bridge, whatever, a moat right around here. And what happens when you come to Gmail and Outlook? They first look at your name. So for example, your mailbox is Simon at Salesforge AI, right? So what these guards, Gmail and Outlook do is they first look at your first name, right? Simon. Has Simon sent any threats to the king? Has Simon stole anything from this email castle? Has Simon been a good person around the community? That's what Gmail and Outlook does. They look at your name, right? Your mailbox. And they evaluate if you're worthy enough to even get your message to the king, or the message should be thrown in the river of spam. Right? And let's say your name is okay. They kind of know that you're a good guy, you paid your taxes, whatever, right? Now they're looking at your last name. They want to make sure you're not a part of some pirates. They're looking at your last name, which is the domain. They have to make sure your family isn't like a mafia or a different castle, competitor castle, any type of, I don't know, enemy, right? They have to make sure you're not a Trojan horse bringing poisoned scrolls to the castle. So they look at your domain, the guards of Gmail and Outlook. They evaluate, they see if you have been on their naughty list, which is the blacklist, if you've been following the rules of the kingdom of email and all of that, right? And if everything is okay, if your name is okay, your mailbox, if your last name, if your family, if your last name hasn't been in trouble with the king, if you're not a pirate, if all of these things are good, you get the pass, right? They might let you go and not throw your message into the spam river. But these guards also value the time of the king. Everyone is reaching out to the king, right? So if your message, right, you're delivering a scroll, right? If your message is just filled and filled and filled with text, they're not going to give it to the king. King doesn't have the time to read lengthy messages. He gets hundreds of them a day. There's other people delivering and trying to get something to the king, right? So if your message is lengthy, it's a scroll that just unwinds, these guards, Gmail and Outlook, will not give it to the king, right? It will not be delivered. And the same with the content. If in the message you're talking about silly things, you're asking the king for some farmland or anything silly like that, you're sending, which in real life cases, sending like links asking for, I don't know, you're trying to sell something using those spam words, you know, you're spamming the person, sending images, videos. If you do that, you know, asking, I don't know what's the equivalent in those times. I don't know, asking for wheat or something, adding, I don't know, well, if you add beer, maybe it would be better. But basically, if your message content is also not great, they will also not give it to the king. They don't want, if it's insulting the king, for example, these guards will not deliver your message to the king, right? And also if it's laced with tracking links, they will not give it to the king as well. And all of your scrolls, all of your messages will end up in the river of spam. So, let's say your name was good, your message was okay to pass through the guards of Gmail and Outlook, and they do end up bringing it to the king, right? You're not done yet. You need to make sure the king himself responds to you, and that's a big task. It's a big task as well, right? So how do you make sure that the king reads your message and he actually responds to your message, right? You have a crown, of course, maybe some diamonds, rubies, whatever. So how do you make sure that the king actually reads your message that you brought and fulfills your request, whatever you ask? Well, first thing is that this king, like I said, gets hundreds of messages a day, hundreds of scrolls, right? And if your message looks the same that 100 other messages look like, if it's identical to other messages, like if you're following a template, hey king, I want this and this, I love your kingdom. If it follows the template that hundreds of other people use, your king, the king will not even read it, right? He will just skim through the message, sees that it's the same, and he will not read it. Basically, you cannot send templated scrolls or emails to the king because he won't read it. So what will he read? He will read, of course, personal messages. Maybe it's a message complimenting how he managed to come back from the war with most of his men. Maybe you compliment how greatly he increased the supply of food for the kingdom, right? And it has to be personal. The scroll has to be personal. At least the first message, first line has to be unique, has to be relevant to your king. I almost said prospect, right? He has to see it and be like, okay, someone actually wrote this. It's not spamming. The person who sent this message isn't delivering the same message to hundreds of kingdoms. It's just for me. This message is actually personal. So in the first line, you can say like, hey, king, congratulations on blah, blah, blah. Or like, I see you're doing that with your kingdom. The archers need better bows, or like they have very good aim. Congratulate his archers or something, right? And after that, you have to if you're offering anything, you have to offer something that's relevant to him. Like if your king is not in charge of the army, you're not going to tell him, I can get you a lot of swords, right? He won't care about that. You need to be reaching out to the general. And so if you have to make the message relevant to him, offer, I don't know, he's in charge of the wheat supply, offer him ways to transfer the wheat faster or something like that. And that's it. Value the king's time. This is the king. He got big biceps. Value his time. Offer only what's relevant to him. He's most likely not in charge of the marketplace. Maybe he is, but whatever, right? Make sure the offer is actually relevant to the recipient, to the king. And again, value his time. You cannot ask king to give you an hour's worth of meeting with you to discuss the wheat supply. All you need to do is to ask him, all you should and can ask him, is the offer even interesting to him? That simple as that. You need to spark as the little conversation. Your first contact with the king shouldn't be an hour talk. Your first contact should ask him as little as possible, because he gets hundreds of messages. He has an army to control. He has a kingdom to feed. He has food marketplace, regular marketplace to look over, to make sure people are paying their taxes so that he could make roads in the kingdom. There's plague killing his people. He has a lot of stuff he needs to take care of. It's silly to think that he's going to respond to a peasant giving him hours of his time. No. The most you can ask the king, if you actually want to reply, is simply just to reply, not take a 15-minute call, right? I don't know. It's just ask him to reply. Would the offer you said, would it be any interest to him? Simple CTA like that. And once you do that, he'll be inclined to respond, because it's easy. He might just send a pigeon back to you saying, yes, the guards will let you write down your name. You come there, maybe you put on the best robe you have, and you talk to him then. But first, all you need to know is if this is even worth a conversation. You don't ask him for anything. You don't ask him to buy your wheat. You don't ask him to spend hours of time communicating about the arrowheads for the army, right? All you do is ask the king to simply respond. Say a yes or a no. If it's interesting, you can go ahead, write another scroll. It'll probably take a week or a month. I don't know how fast do horses deliver mail in those times, medieval times. But that's basically it. After that, you just get to talk to the king. I don't know if you're asking the hand from his daughter, the princess, or if you want to work on wheat, whatever wheat looks like, or do you want to make swords for the army, whatever you want to do, right? You then communicate, and simple as that. Bye.